presentation on the after approval process. This presentation will explain what happens after you receive an approval letter from Indigenous Services Canada. The presentation is going to go over the communication pathway, so how we at Jordan's Principal will communicate with you once your application is approved. We're also going to go over what your payment options are and explore the different ways that we can process an application. There's travels, there's ordering items, or even paying for a service. And then lastly, the presentation is going to give you an idea of what you can expect after your application is approved. So the journey with the administrative technician who processes the applications begins when we at Jordan's Principal receive a decision about your application from Indigenous Services Canada. Now, Indigenous Services Canada, also called ISC, are the ones who make the decisions about the applications and not us at the Cree Health Board. So once it's approved, the PPRO that you have been working with is going to inform you and inform the administrative technician that the application was approved. This is an example of an approval letter. It's the letter that identifies your application and it gives you the details of your approval. So how much money was approved, for how long, and what kind of services or items you were approved for. Now, the most important thing on the letter, especially for us at Jordan's Principal, is the ISC number. It's a 5-digit number and it identifies your application and approval. So if you're contacting the administrative technician about your application, if you have a question or you want to discuss your payment options, whatever it is, it's very helpful to include the ISC number, so that 5-digit number on your approval letter, in your email title. While you're over the phone, maybe you'll tell them what ISC number it is, because it helps us identify your application and we can pull it up and go through it with you. So there are two main payment methods or options. When the administrative technician contacts you either by email or phone, they're going to explain to you the process, answer any questions you have, and explain to you these two options and ask you which one you would prefer. Payment option number one is a reimbursement. And we recommend this because it's the quickest way of getting paid, or if you're ordering your items, the quickest way to receive them. In this case, a reimbursement means that the applicant, the parent, guardian, whoever, would pay for the item or service, and then Jordan's Principal would reimburse them. For this, you will need to fill out a direct deposit form, provide your void check, and then provide receipts as proof that you have actually paid for the service or the item. When you tell the administrative technician that you will pay for the item and get a reimbursement, they will go over the steps with you, send you the forms that you need to fill out, and then all you need to do is provide the information, return it, and then they will connect with the finance department to get you paid. Here are 3 examples of what you'll need to provide for a reimbursement. You have the direct deposit form, which you need to fill out, then the void check, and your receipts. This filling out the direct deposit form does not mean an immediate transfer of funds. It's not an EMT or e-transfer. There's a process that the administrative technician follows with the finance department, and it's essentially getting you registered for direct deposit instead of waiting for a check. Now, once we receive those 3 items or documents, it can take up to 1 month for you to be paid. So there's a process with the financial department that the administrative technician will keep you updated on. The second option is for Jordan's Principal to pay. In doing so, we can pay the service provider, we could order the items, or even book the travels. So for this option, the administrative technician really needs to have all the information from your application form. So they're going to go to the application form and get information about the service provider, their invoice with their contact information. If you're ordering items or you've been approved items, they're going to make sure that your links are there so they know exactly what to order. And if you're traveling, the administrative technician will double check that information and get your contact information to book flights, buses, etc. Many applications include travels. It's very important that you confirm your travel dates at least 2 weeks before you plan to travel. This is really important because it's the Jordan's Principal Admin who books the travel, transport, accommodations, and they need time to do that and then to confirm everything with you. So it's very important that even if the dates have changed from your application, or even if you didn't put dates on your application, very important as soon as you plan on traveling or you know your travel dates to let the Jordan's Principal team know at least 2 weeks before. Another important thing to know is that Jordan's Principal, our administrative technician, is not Cree Patient Services. We do the bookings and the travel separately. For transportation, there's always the choice to take your private vehicle. Now, for this, it's important that if you're driving and you got approved funding for gas and mileage, that you keep your original receipts and you send them to us at the end of your trip. You can mail them, email them, scan them, photo, whatever works for you, as long as you send them to our 18 TCR General Jordan's Principal email. For the bus, there's the option to get reimbursed. So pay for your bus tickets, keep the receipts for that, and then submit them to Jordan's Principal to get reimbursed. Or you can provide the administrative technician with all the information they will need to book the bus, and then they will send all that information, the confirmation, to you by email. So for flights, if there's room, we're able to book Jordan's Principal applicants and their escorts on the Cree Health Board charter plane. If not, we can also book on the Air Quebec regular flights. What we do, or what the administrative technician does, is they contact Northern Operations Center who books the flight, and then they send you the flight information and confirmation by email. Even though applicants and escorts can travel on the Cree Health Board charter, they're still not considered Cree Patient Service clients. Therefore, you might not have access to the CPS transportation van. So we encourage people to apply for taxi fees in the application. Please note that if you do choose to use a taxi, you or the applicant is responsible for calling and making the appointment for the taxi themselves. And to get reimbursed, it's important that you keep your receipts and then send them to us at the end of your trip to be reimbursed. Jordan's Principal Admin Tech can also book your hotel. Again, if you want the admin tech to do this, it's very important that you let them know at least 2 weeks before you plan on traveling so that they can book it and send you the confirmation. Of course, you always have the option of paying for the hotel, sending us your receipt, and getting reimbursed. There's also the option to stay in private lodgings. Now, if this is approved, you will also need to send us a receipt. And if you don't have a receipt, you can always email us and request a template that we can send to you, something similar to this that you can fill out and send us so that we can reimburse the person whose house you stayed at. Lastly, for the meals, these are usually reimbursed after the trip takes place. And because of that, it's important that you let us know when you return from your travels. For the meals, you do not need to send us receipts, so you don't need to keep them. In certain situations, there's an option to receive an advance payment for your meals and your mileage if it's needed. It's important in this case to give us at least 1 month notice before you travel that you will need your funding in advance. This is important because there's a process we need to follow with the financial department, and we need the time to get you that funding before you leave. So, at least 1 month before you travel, you would fill out this form and we would support you in getting those funds. So, Jordan's Principal can pay for the travels and book those, but we can also order the items that you've been approved. The first step for this is to fill out the budget quote form, and this is done while you're completing the Jordan's Principal application. So, the administrative technician, before they go and order, they're going to confirm with you that these are the items that you would like, and they're going to go back and check that form. The form would be filled out something like this. So the admin tech would know, okay, we're going to order an iPad mini in gray from Amazon. And because a link has been included, There should be no confusion. She just needs to copy and paste and order the items. She'll know exactly what you want. So step 2 is for the admin tech to order the items, and they do this to the public health office in Mistissini, mainly to review the order, which would be step 3, make sure that nothing is damaged, it's the right item, and then once it's been reviewed, the admin tech will ship out the item by internal mail to the applicant. So once the items are ordered and then shipped out by internal mail, step 4 is for the applicant once they have received the box, is to fill out and return the delivery confirmation form. Here's an example of the form. Once you've received the item, you would let us know what your file number is, when you received your item, what it was that was in the box, and the client's name. You could also fill out other aspects of the form. I just wanted to highlight some of the most important pieces. So Jordan's Principal can pay for the travels and book the travels. They can also order the items for you, ship them to you, and we can also pay service providers directly. Examples of this are art therapy, speech language assessments, summer camps, anything where service is being provided, we can pay them directly. And all we need is the invoice from the service provider stating that, yes, the service took place, the appointment happened, and billing us so that we can pay them. So that's an overall picture of what happens after your application is approved. Here are some things you might want to remember: that there's 2 options: to pay and then get reimbursed, or to ask Jordan's Principal to pay for the service or the item. 2 is that you want to keep your receipts, especially for taxi, gas and mileage. If you purchased an item like an iPad, or if you paid for a service, you want to keep all your receipts as proof of payment so that we can reimburse you. The only thing you don't need to keep are receipts for your meals. If you're planning on traveling, it's very important that you inform the Jordan's Principal team at least 2 weeks before you travel, so there's time to book and confirm with you. For the payment, it can take up to 1 month to be reimbursed, as well as shipping. So if Jordan's Principal's ordering the item for you, it could take up to 1 month. Remember, it's going to go to Mistissini, be reviewed, and then once everything is good, it gets shipped by internal mail. So that whole process can take up to 1 month. And lastly, Jordan's Principal is not affiliated with Cree Patient Services. We do all of our bookings separately. So if you have any questions about travels, it's important that you contact us through our general email and we can help you out. Once you've received your item or participated in a summer camp or any other activity that you benefited from through Jordan's Principal, we do have the option to consent to provide photos. We encourage families and children to submit photos just so that we can show the Cree Nation how children are benefiting from Jordan's Principal. You can always give your consent at the bottom of the consent form in the application. To contact us, please use the 18TCR Jordan's Principal general email. You can connect with the PPRO who supported you in your application. You can connect with the administrative technician to process your application, ask questions, provide ideas, submit photos, anything to this email. If you want more information, you can find us online at the Disability Program Specialized Service website or on the Cree Health Board website. That's it. Thanks for listening. Miigwech, we hope to hear from you soon.